WNST, Towson, Baltimore season. I know I am happy about that. I know this guy is happy about that. Cove Roofing sponsors all that we do here at WNST.net, including our Thursday Community and Charity Series, which we are firing up. If you have a great community story, a community issue, a charity story, a run, an event, something you're trying to raise money for a good cause, toss me an email, nasty@WNST.net. We will make that onto the air on Thursdays. Meanwhile, Bill Cole joins us here because he's my pal and my sports pal, and because he'll be at the game on Sunday, and we're all excited about the game, and the Terps even won, and at some point the Orioles season will be over. But, I want to talk to you about this Colin Kaepernick thing and about Nike. Not necessarily the knee, because we talked about that all last year, and I don't think we're going to change anybody's opinion on any of that. But this is a fascinating American business marketing story now that involves the disdain and the disgrace of a president who's still sitting, yelling at football players. And now Nike has said, no, we're going to be on this side of the fence into perpetuity. And, I talked about this at length, and I know it hasn't been written about, Billy, but you run a company, I run a company. Your company runs the way your company wants it to run. My company runs the way my company, because that's what the people that run companies do. It seems to me that anybody that was following the stock prices on Tuesday in regard to Colin Kaepernick sort of missed the whole point, that Phil Knight has come out and said, you know what? I'm going to go the other direction on the president here. I'm going to go with the black athletes here. I'm going to go with young people. I'm going to go with the liberal side of it. I mean, literally, a multi-billion-dollar company took that stance in America on Tuesday, the week of the kickoff. So, that's an amazing American business story, I think.
Always good to be with you, Nestor. So I think it takes
courage.
Tons of courage. I think Nike has a history of,
just do it.
Yeah, being edgy and pushing. I think
and pushing on behalf of youth, right? Nike's not a new brand anymore. I bought Nikes at Tom McCann when I was 9 years old. I had Nikes in the 70s, right? So, Nikes is not a new brand, but it's always been a young brand, right? It's always been about getting you on the street, doing it, achieving. It's always been an aspirational brand, right?
Well, I think if you read, all the experts or whatever who wrote the branding stories and all the business books, it was taking the exceptional athlete that all of us want to be and creating a bridge to let us wear the same shoes that they wear as weekend warriors, even though we can't be Jordan or we can't do the things that they do. It was, hey, at least you can wear the same shoes. So that was rooted in athleticism. Today, the brand is less. It's still athletic, but it's also, people wear sneakers all the time.
Yeah, it's not about Michael Jordan anymore, right?
Right.
It was for a while. It was a basketball brand, and it's not anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the Jordan thing is even its own separate deal now, and they focus on their thing, and Nike is more about just a fashion line, I think, at this point.
Well, I mean, you could say that about our local athletic apparel here, who took the Trump side, a year and a half ago, and that's where we are in the country, right? You have to take a side, right? You can't stand in the middle. You can't say, well, kneeling's okay sometimes, but I stand, or I kneel sometimes, but I usually stand. It's much more like a religion or a cult at this point than it is patriotism. I'm going to pick my side. I'm on the red team or the green team or the blue team or the purple team. Or I'm on the purple team on Sunday, by the way, just in case you want to know. Anything else you want to say on the Kaepernick thing this week? Because we're not at the end of this, right? I mean, he's been blackballed. Now we have another player in Reed been blackballed. The NFL is actively blackballing football players in front of the world. And Nike has said, no, I don't think that's cool. So good for Nike as far as I can stand, Yeah. I'm not going to be wearing Under Armour anytime soon.
I find it wildly frustrating that, we're taking our entertainment and we're crossing it into politics. So the whole thing with the NFL
but that's been going on since Ali, dude. I mean, that's not new. It's just not new. It really isn't. I mean, it's not. And for anybody to act like it's new that athletes should take a sport, sports athletes are taking a political stance. I mean, that's been going on all of our lifetime. It really has. Maybe you haven't felt it or seen it or hasn't been this big, but it's been going on forever.
No, I appreciate that perspective, but again, it's sort of like when the movie star comes out and starts trying to drop some knowledge on the public, and they make a fool of themselves, but yet they're still influencing all the fans. That I prefer people to like do their own research and form their own opinions, not just go the way that they're the person from the movie that they like is.
But that's your personality. It's my personality, too. I mean, it's me being a journalist for all of my life that I always ask questions. I always question what you're saying as to whether it's a fact and whether it adds up and whether it makes sense and whether there's some rationale behind it or whether there's some evidence behind it. That's been the story of my life. That's not the story of the Internet. The story of the Internet was phone booth, right? So in the case of the Kaepernick knee, the whole idea was, y'all should go and research what's going on with cops in inner cities and people of color and all of that. And it didn't become y'all go research. It became let's kill him.
Right.
Let's get rid of him. That's where we are in the debate in our country, which is all the more reason that for Nike to put Colin Kaepernick on a billboard. That's an interesting week in America, as far as I can tell, especially for a guy who's been blackballed by the great American game. I spent my whole life talking about Kurt Flood around here, Jackie Robinson. I didn't think that was possible in 2018. It's not only possible, it's happening, and it's been wildly supported, and wildly supported by the people that walked out of the stadium last year that said they were never coming back. Now, by the way, what's your prediction on Sunday? Full house?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, back to normal for now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What a counterpoint to the Nike position is, did you hear in the Miami game, their uniforms, supplied by Adidas, were made from recycled plastic pulled out of the ocean. So, there's that whole movement of all the water bottles, the plastic water bottles that end up in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and I guess Adidas figured out a way to take them and create cleats and a uniform out of recycled plastic bottles.
Dude, you know more than I do because I did not know. I mean, I sat and watched the Miami game the other day and didn't know that. So I guess I missed that little vignette. But the Miami Hurricanes wearing uniforms made mostly from fishing nets and waste found in the ocean.
Right. So you've got one sneaker brand who's going to all recycled plastic bottles, and you've got the other one making political statements. So it's interesting tactics.
And meanwhile, Under Armour's just trying to figure out how to turn a buck. And Kevin Plank's trying to figure out how to drink all that whiskey he's losing all the money on. So, Bill Cole is here. He is Cole Roofing and Pfister Energy. Tell everybody what you do at Cole Roofing and Pfister Energy. Then we're going to talk some football in here.
Yeah, 100-year-old commercial roofing company. Everything from emergency leak repairs all the way through, big new construction projects or re-roofing shopping centers and schools and things like that. Been employing people in Baltimore for 100 years.
99 years, not 100 yet. You don't even know when the day is. We went through that last week. Wait, do we officially celebrate that January 1st? Is that right? Is that what we're going to do?
We're going to celebrate the entire year.
Oh, good for you.
That's the plan.
1919. There was a book written called 1919 by John Dos Passos. I read it when I was in the 8th grade. I didn't understand it very much. Bill Cole is here. I do understand football. I am wearing my green hat, by the way, so I'm environmentally friendly. Just so you know, my green Raven hat here, Bill. All right, so Raven season. I know we've been talking about this for months and months and months now that we get up on it. And I know you're the WL guy, and we've looked at the road schedule in the beginning with Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, and Cleveland. I feel good about the team, and that will change rapidly if they lose Sunday, though, right? I mean, you can only feel good about the Ravens if they beat the Bills, who might be the worst team in the NFL.
Right. I mean, the Bills definitely, whether they are good or not, they present the, doormat of the AFC East or whatever it is these days. So, yeah, I think if we go out and lay an egg week one, it will be, time to freak out. But I'm not really worried about that at all. I'm pretty excited. I think they're solid. I think they've got good depth. I think they've shown, Joe seems to be in a good rhythm, and I think his weapons, although they continue to be like retreads from other teams, I think they have some gas left in the tank, so I'm excited.
Well, that's all we've ever had here is retreads, and some of them, like Derek Mason and Steve Smith, are okay, right? I mean, Anquan Bolden was a retread, right? So And then when Torrey Smith's not a retread, you didn't want to give him $7 million a year.
Well, and none of these guys have the pedigree that any of those had. I mean, Derek Mason or Anquan Bolt. I mean, so we don't
Crabtree's
have that.
got that pedigree. I mean, Crabtree is that guy. Now, whether he's still that guy or not, I mean, he was a first-round pick. He was a guy that was special, right? Literally.
I guess. I mean, I don't know. He
was a 10th overall pick, man. I mean,
right. But did he ever lead a team he was on in receptions or yards? I mean, was he as prolific as Mason was?
Yes, 1,100 yards in 2012, 1,000 yards 2 years ago in Oakland. But yeah, I mean, 89 receptions 2 years ago, 85 before that, 85 and 12. I mean, he's caught 80, 90 balls, sure. Only 58 last year, though. So. On a broken team. By the way, the Raiders gave away their best player.
Weird.
You didn't bring that up, did we? Hey, can you imagine if the Baltimore Ravens in 1999 traded Ray Lewis away and said, we don't want good football players here. We want the other kind. I mean, I don't know how anyone goes to the ballpark in Oakland, right? Not only are they moving your football team, and they've soft-pedaled that and sort of made it like, well, we're moving to Vegas. At least it's attractive there. It's a short flight, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's what they've said to their fans. And can you imagine them playing the Colts seasons 84, 85, 86 here and saying in 87 we're going to move to, Indianapolis? I still can't get over it. And then they're going to trade Khalil Mack. I mean, the Gruden thing and his legend only goes so far when they're going to start the season 2-8.
It's strange. I don't get it. But that seems to be typical for at least one team in the NFL every single year.
I thought Mark Davis was going to run this thing differently than the old man, right? We all know the Angelos boys, they're going to be a big upgrade over Dad, right?
Yeah, right. We can count on that.
Bill Cole is here. He's Cole Roofing at Pfister Energy. Hey, I know you are doing some business stuff on the Netflix space and Business Wars, and I know you're into podcasts in and around sports. By the way, I finally watched the Joe Rogan podcast that you and a couple of friends have been pimping to me for a long time. I watched him with Gary Vaynerchuk. It was excellent. So I am a podcast guy. I make them all day, so it's harder for me to listen to them, but you do enjoy that part of the world.
Yeah, I just found that Business Wars one, and that was like our Nike conversation is a good one because they have Nike Adidas on there, and I don't know if you.
So you have a conversation about one versus the other, why to buy one or the other. Is that what the idea is?
No, it's just the history of how they got to where they got to, and I guess it's fascinating to see the turns that it has to take. Like the two brothers that started Adidas had a falling out during World War II, and one brother left and started Puma, right? So it's like, are you kidding me? You're telling me one brother's got Adidas and the other one's got Puma. How does that, just interesting little things like that. And I think Nike's original name was Blue Ribbon Sports.
Yeah, I Googled that, and I didn't know when Nike started. I know I had a pair of Nikes when I was a little boy, before they were cool. I had them, and some kids in school thought they were cool, and I didn't really know they were cool. They were just the thing with the swoosh on them at the Tom McCann at the time, and maybe they cost $5 more at the time or whatever. But, I said I got them in the late 70s because I was like, before I hit puberty, I was born in 68, so it had to be 79, 80, 81. I was a little boy, and playing baseball. And I didn't even know when Nike was founded in 1964. I did not know that. I mean, that's how old Nike is. So, I mean, we're all familiar with Under Armour around here coming out of Plank's basement 20 years ago or whatever. I didn't know when Nike – I remember the first time I saw Nike. It was long before Michael Jordan, but it was during that period of time in the 80s and the 90s that it took off, and now they've done the most controversial thing since New Coke, right? I mean, literally, right, this week?
Right. So, yeah, definitely. So Phil Knight was a track runner. He's out of college in Japan, sees sneakers, goes back, does a license deal that his father puts the money up for so he can sell these Japanese sneakers in America.
1,300 pairs of Japanese running shoes grossed $8,000 in 1964.
He goes and gets his track coach to help him, try and get track teams to buy them. And, after a couple, I don't know if it was a year or 2, 5 years, I don't really know. They say, we're going to do this ourselves because the track coach takes his wife's waffle iron and pours rubber mold into it and they came out with the waffle runner, I think it's called. And it was that was the birth of Nike.
He said they made his coach Bill Bowerman made them from a waffle iron. Correct.
Yep.
There it is. The things you learn about Nike on our program. Bill Cole here from Cole Roofing and Pfister Energy, getting ready for the football season. All right, give me expectations. Have you cleared January? Or first week of January, we're going to be playing a football game?
I have not cleared that. It's too early for me to do that. My issue with football is it's all about injuries, right? So you can be the best team week one, but if Joe goes down, we're in trouble.
We said that with Philadelphia last year, by the way. We said no backup quarterback could ever win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but they were close enough, I think, right? So enough of their team was still intact.
Well, they also had spotted themselves a lead to be able to play games at home in January, right? So that helped them.
And we know you can win with a backup quarterback, or a subpar quarterback, or an average quarterback, whatever you want to call that. Like, we know that, but you got to have other really good pieces. So, if Suggs goes down, if the O-line, we're not exactly deep at the O-line. So we lose one or two guys along there, which that will happen, whether they're serious injuries or just, 1 weekers. That's why I think it's sort of a crapshoot. It's like, fantasy football. I don't get too worked up about picking my team because half of them are injured by week 4, and I have no chance of winning. So
I don't play fantasy sports. People ask me that. First off, I'm 50 years old, and I have a fantasy team. They're called the Ravens. They play every Sunday. They're going to play this Sunday at 1, and when they lose, I will lose. When they win, I will win. So that's kind of how that works for me. I don't. I stay up on all this stuff, but I'm over my head on fantasy sports. It's one more thing it's another distraction that I don't need during the week, right? For me.
Yeah, so I don't play it the way I did 10 years ago.
You played to win 10 years ago, right?
Well, I don't even know if I did that, but I certainly started looking at lists of players 5 minutes before my draft. So I think it's just one other thing to look at on Sunday and see if your guys did anything. And if you catch lightning in a bottle, plus, it's all my buddies growing up and all that. So it's a point of connection there that I don't get to see or spend time with them anymore. So,
well, get you off the roof for a little while, too, on a hot day. So, work the phone a little bit. Well, who's your are you like the kind of guy that would draft Roethlisberger or Brady to be your quarterback or no? That would be another real problem for me. I don't want Le'Veon Bell to be my running back. You know what I mean?
Right. I try very hard not to pick those guys. Last year,
well, that messes up the whole integrity of the whole league when you don't, though, right? Like literally.
Not really. We're pretty lax about that kind of stuff. Like last year, I was the Ravens, so I had Flacco and West and the defense, and I think the only one I didn't get was Tucker. I even had Macklin. So needless to say, I wasn't very good last year. But so I tried hard to not be a homer. But I do dodge the Steelers. Well, that's no fun.
I don't want to be up on Sunday night rooting, for Antonio Brown to catch 8 balls and 2 touchdowns. I don't need that sort of pressure in my life at this point.
I get it. Yeah, but I wouldn't call what I do rooting. I would call what I do mildly paying attention.
Observing on your. Well, it's a lot easier when your fantasy team loads onto an app and you can look right down. I remember when Dave Muir and his fantasy league back in the '90s, there'd be stacks of paper, there'd be research done all day Monday, no work would get done, no mortgages that get sold on Monday. It was a mess. So at least in the modern era, it's all automated at this point. Just like you guys are automated at ColeRoofing.com and Pfister Energy. You can learn about all that Bill Cole does. He's been my friend forever, and we talk sports here once in a while. He also sponsors our community and charity series, Heard on Thursdays. Learn more at ColeRoofing.com. Make sure you're staying cool out on those roofs, Billy.
And the Wayback Machine, I can remember scoring our fantasy league out of the Sun paper, the box scores on Monday night.
With number 2 pencil, circling it, right, exactly.
Yep.
How many touchdowns did Stoney Case throw for? Yeah, exactly.
And then everybody arguing about it on Tuesday. Yeah.
Well, I remember there used to be a nice little trail of email shame for anybody that was in last place. That was always part of the fun fantasy thing. I don't get the wind of a lot of that. Matter of fact, I don't even see like people beating each other up about their fantasy scores on Facebook. I thought I would see more of that in the modern era. I don't even see that sort of gentle ribbing. That must be an IM or a text thing now. That must be off the grid for everybody on social. Billy, take care of yourself this week, man. We'll check in quick week next week. Hopefully we're 2-0 by next Thursday night, man.
Appreciate you, brother.
You got it. Bill Cole, Pfister Energy, and Cole Roofing. You can find them out on the web. They've only been doing it for 99 years. He says 100. I'll let him say that in 3 months. I've been doing this 20 years. Nasty at WNST.net finds me. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on our Facebook as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. You missed anything? Find it in our buyatoyota.com audio vault. That is there 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST, Towson, Baltimore. And we never stop talking Baltimore sports.